Sir from 17 once again, bringing you the second part to my F.E.A.R 3 This Is Suicide Contractions multiplayer gameplay. And this is where it starts to get pretty bad. It goes from bad to worse. We get fucked by armor, we get fucked by the dark fog, we get fucked by the fire on the floor. We pretty much get it in every hole, you know? Just like some famous porn star. But there's not a lot you can really do. Especially when you're playing with a random who's a retard. So we pretty much fortify this staircase and take everybody on, and as you can see, it is the suicide bomber guys, so you can use them to your advantage, and we're just mopping up as best we can. But it definitely gets darker. And speaking of darker, I went on a little bit of a rant at the start of the last video about, you know, fucking the world's strictest parents and how much I thought it was bullshit. Well, I've got a kind of a sister topic to that with something that is equally as bullshit, but this is actually real as opposed to being fabricated bullshit for the sake of TV ratings. And if anybody's not been paying attention to the news, it is evidence that monsters do exist. The Blink-182 song was right, and this time it was in Norway. And I don't know if you know about this, but there was basically a very wealthy, a very intelligent and salient human being has decided to try and save Europe from Muslims, basically to save it from a Muslim takeover, because of his ideology is so flawed, extreme and just batshit crazy that he thought he should do something. And his original intentions were to write a book which was pretty much going to be a hate manifest of how he thinks that Europe as a whole is nowhere near as great as it used to be, and it's been diluted and polluted by foreigners, basically. It'd be a xenophobic Bible. And because of the recession, it turns out he didn't have enough money to publish the book. So, you know, being a logical and salient human being, he decided as plan B to go on a killing spree. Yeah, you heard that correct, people. A fucking killing spree. So he's gone from writing a book filled with hateful, you know, ideology, to murder. Which straight off the bat tells me that there is something seriously wrong with this person. I'll say that much. Completely paraphrased from the stuff that I saw, because I spent a Monday evening at a barbecue, and the TV was on, and this is the shit that was coming through because it had just happened. And I say shit because I say shit for everything. It was extremely sad, it was extremely horrific, but it just baffled the balls off me. It really, really did. Because what this guy did is, there was a terrorist attack in like the centre of Norway, somewhere in Oslo, and a car bomb had gone off. So all the emergency services were, you know, completely frantic, completely trying to help people that had been injured, and the entire city was up in a roar about this bomb because it had just happened. And as anybody knows who's seen these things on the news, it's utter chaos when something like that happens. But the meanwhile, while that was happening, like off the coast of you know, maybe some like holiday resort at the side of Norway or wherever it was, I don't really know the places, names or anything, there's this summer camp equivalent for Norwegian teenagers, where they go out to it and they do, I suppose, what you do at summer camps and everything. But this is a summer camp that's probably never going to be fucking forgot, because this is going to be turned into like the next Lake Bodom, but a million times worse. And the reason for that is, this guy who was writing this book got completely clad in what looks like a wetsuit, like a neoprene wetsuit, so he looks like a fucking Navy SEAL. He had something that looks along the lines of like an M14 strapped with all sorts of attachments. He had his iPod in, playing music, and he also had a cocktail of stimulating drugs from something like F.E.A.R and blooming caffeine and all sorts of mad shit that got him nice and pumped up, and he proceeded to pretend to be a police officer, round all these kids up as if to make, you know, a statement because they were in trouble, and then he started opening fire on the crowd. And these are kids ranging from maybe 10 and 11 to maybe 15 and 16. Girls, boys, everything. And I just think that is absolutely fucking atrocious. That to me is evidence of a devil, or of some kind of deity that is nothing but evil. It's unfathomable that somebody could be that cold and that callous. And they say that these kids were hiding under the corpses of bodies to try and, you know, pretend to be dead so that he didn't kill them. And This is not just a guy that's firing recklessly into a crowd. He was methodically going between the bodies with the sounds of it and making sure that they're dead. And I don't know if that means that he was double tapping them, or he was just, shooting into the bodies or whatever, but it's just cold, calculated evil. There's no other words for it. It is fluent fucking evil. There are kids that were jumping into the river to try and swim away, and bearing in mind, this is not fucking California Beach. This is Norway. This is up near the top of the fucking planet. This shit's freezing. So you are risking hypothermia and freezing to death over being shot by the psycho that's trying to kill you. I mean, I can't even imagine that. That must have been like the people that decided to jump from the World Trade Center when it was on fire. And it is just fucking horror. Pure horror. And there's still, apparently, I think the Oslo police officers or the diving squad or whoever you call them are pretty much just getting the final toll on the deaths because of the bodies in the water that tried to flee. And if that wasn't bad enough, and it sure is fucking bad enough, they're also finding links from, because apparently he owns this massive like estate mansion that's got a barn, and the barn was filled with fertilizer and various other, home usable goods that you can turn into an explosive device. So they are actually linking him to the terrorist attack in the middle of Norway as well. So not only has this guy gone and murdered people's fucking kids, but he's also set a bomb off in the middle of the city, and it's all based on his flawed ideology about how he wants this fucking pure Europe. When I say pure, I mean anything non-white is probably going to be killed in his regime. So he wants this bullshit and completely fallible ideal of Europe, and his way of getting it involves killing children who aren't even at the age to form a strong enough opinion on anything like ideology or religion or fucking politics. And that guy deserves to just... There should be no execution, there should be no gas chamber, nothing like that. There should just be a cell with the biggest, butchest fucking prison rapist, and him and this guy should spend the next 25 years having a loving relationship, which involves his anus being torn on a fucking on a daily basis. I'm talking anal fissures. That guy should have to have blood transfusions to put the blood back in his body that the big fucking prison rapist has banged out of him. It's just horrific. I mean, he should have his fucking eyelids cut off so he can never sleep and he eventually dies a slow and grueling death of sleep deprivation. It's just madness. And that's pure hyperbole, that. I don't believe that's what should happen, but with the looks of it, he's going to be spending his 60-year stretch, or however many they're going to give him, in a 150 million prison estate, which is apparently the most luxurious prison ever built. So what the fuck is the point? What is this telling us? Is this telling us that as a woeful and, intellectual society that we're going to repay child killers with the equivalent of a fucking condo? I'm sorry, but that is just wrong. That is wrong on so many levels. This guy should be in solitary confinement for the rest of his life. He should be fed through a fucking straw that leads through his belly on an IV. It should be... Every single possible pleasure should be just removed. Every possible stimulation. He should be in a fucking... one of those deprivation tanks that just gets rid of everything. And you lose track of time. And he should be in that for the rest of his life. It's just baffling to me. And it's fucking horrific. And it's all purely based on the fact that the guy's a racist. The guy has extreme views, and instead of, coming to some kind of consensus, he decided to act on them in the most bigoted way you could possibly do it, and that is to strike out against anybody. And it's just horrific. It truly is. But anyway, to lighten this shit up, I am the last man standing. We're probably going to fail. My buddy's gone down trying to get that guy, and as you can see, there's a lot of enemies up here, and the only reason the enemies have spawned up here is because of that asshole came up here. And I come over him to try and revive him, and as you can see, it says hold X, and I was holding it, believe you me, but it just wasn't doing anything. So right now, I think I'm going to die. I'm pretty much in the shit, but luckily enough, they don't do enough damage to put me down, and I managed to regenerate, clean that guy up, and I think once you kill everybody, your buddies stand back up, and that's exactly what's about to happen. So clean him up. There's one more left. He's playing Ring Around the Roses with me. He's jumped back down, and now I can get it. Oh, no. There we go. It's really fussy. And look how thin his wrist is. That just looks bad. But that's the end of the wave. Everybody stands up. And, yeah, there's not much left of this one. There's one more wave, and we're probably going to die. Because when you get to the later waves, rocket launcher guys come and a whole bunch of different guys, and they will kill you very quickly unless you have a pretty good team. And as you can see, that guy on our team is a fucking retard. But I did say I was going to talk about movies in this one, so I'm going to quickly talk about one I watched last night, which is Your Highness, which is a nice fantasy-driven tale set in, you know, like ye old, wherever part in the world it's supposed to be. And it's about Danny McBride, the guy from Pineapple Express and a few other good films. He's a really, really funny actor, and the dude that was in Spider-Man and 127 Hours, who I don't really know his name, but he's also a really good actor. They have to go and rescue Zoe Deschanel from an evil wizard. And it probably sounds like, you know, any other fantasy film you've ever watched, and for the most of it, it does have that kind of trappings, but the comedy in it is from a modern perspective. So everybody's making dick jokes, everybody's making BJ jokes, and and sex jokes, and drug references, and it's not a brilliant film by any means, but it is very funny. I'll give it that much. And the euphemisms for tits and all that kind of stuff just killed me. But there we go, that's the end of our run.